Now, the next section we'll spend a fair bit of time on. It is really the core of this this webinar, which is I guess the workshop section about share of SERP. So let's dive into that. I mean, first of all, what is it? It's another acronym. Some of you probably aren't happy about that, so I do apologize. I didn't make it up though. The SERP is essentially search engine results page, which can be Google, can be others. So when we're talking about share of SERP, we're really referring to the share of available space on a search engine results page that can be earned by a single entity or web page through SEO and other optimization techniques. So that covers things like the organic listings, the ads, the map listings, the knowledge graph, basically anything that sort of, I guess, takes up real estate on that search results page. And so therefore the theme of this next section is really about how to maximize that visibility. This is not so much an SEO guide, but it's just to sort of consider different ways to, I guess, tap into those elements that are on the page and to get more visible in Google, which is going to influence click-through rates to your website and hopefully sales and other nice things like that. So how do you get more share of SERP? Well, again, I know I keep mentioning this, but start with the basics. Don't waste the space you've already earned, and this is it's mostly in referring to organic listings, which is the example here. I mean, these same sort of principles apply to AdWords as well, but it's really optimizing page titles, your URL, and your meta descriptions, so they are relevant, they're descriptive. Ideally, if it's appropriate, they include a call to action as well. So basically, you look, you stand out to people when they're searching for you. Seen many cases where some of the stuff's not filled out properly. I mean, the meta description might say, it might just show some default content on the page. It might show, even worse, it might show like page not, content not found or something. Just, I don't know, some sort of error message almost, and it just doesn't look good, and it's less likely in that event, if even if you spend all the effort getting there, that people are going to click through to your result. And one of those things that measures that is organic click-through rate, which you can measure in Google Search Console. Here we see a bit of an example of that. We see this is a screenshot from Google Search Console. As you can see, the metrics as reported in there, your clicks, your impressions. So clicks, the number of times someone's clicked through to the site, impressions, the number of times it's appeared on a search result page, not just page one, but any search result page. So it's been triggered for a keyword. Your average CTR, so click-through rate, and then the average position across all your keywords that are ranking. So now to the meat. 11 ways to get more share of SERP. We're hoping this section will be useful and just have some practical advice on how you can do some of this stuff yourselves, and hopefully maybe even try something a little bit different that you haven't thought of before. So it's not just, so I mean, the important point is SEO is not just about ranking higher. It's about being as visible as possible and relevant to users when they're searching. So let's start. Number one, Google My Business. And I have mentioned this in previous videos, but it's just super important these days, especially for local business. So that's why it's number one. At a very basic level, ensure your Google Business page or GMB listing is verified. It's complete. So you fill out all the sections as much as possible. I mean, there's bits in there for photos and team photos, interior photos. I mean, put as much content in there as you can, as long as it's relevant and not spammy. Make sure it's up to date. Make sure you've updated things like special hours in there. These Google My Business listings come up a lot, so it's so important that you're presenting the right information to people, not just from a Google point of view, but when people are actually searching for you, that they can see when you're open, they can see your map marker, they can navigate to you, they can even call you directly from the listing. So all that information is really useful. So you can head over to businessorgoogle.com to set that up. You do need a Google account to create one of those. The other comment I have down the bottom there is about Google Posts. It is well, at the time of doing this, or semi-new feature in Google My Business. Is probably not that new anymore, but if you haven't already tried it, check out the post feature, which was released in 2017. Allows you to do things like publish events, products, and services which appear directly alongside your map listing in Google. So you can utilize that to really focus some specific content and try and get some click-throughs to your website. Number 2, add structured data. This one you may have heard before, gets mentioned a lot these days and has in recent years, but it's amazing how many websites still don't do it. What is it? I mean, it's essentially code that happens in addition to the normal sort of human visible stuff. I mean, it's basically the language of the search engines, if you like. It's things like reviews, booking information, menus, recipes, events. Yeah, there's lots of different types. Not all of them are supported by Google, so you can go to Google's website to see which ones are supported. Above all else, I mean, it doesn't just provide the user more info directly on the page, but it helps you stand out in those organic search results. So, I mean, you think about it, if you're browsing something, you see something with, 4.5 stars out of 5 next to it versus, a listing that doesn't have any stars or it's got no rating at all. Which one are you more likely to click on? Probably the one with the stars, right? So that's the theory here. How do you do this? I mean, there's a few ways. I mean, you can do it just at a code level. But that's not really not what this webinar is about. It's about doing some of these things yourself. So there's a few codeless or almost codeless solutions to do it. If you've got Google Tag Manager installed, you can use the injection method via JavaScript. There's a bit of a workaround for doing that. There's some more detail. We've got a blog post that goes into explanation, but basically you can get the code from Google. You can customize that using Google's structured data testing tool to make sure it all works, and then you can inject it into the page with Google Tag Manager. If your site is on WordPress, as I'm sure a lot of people out there are, I mean, quite a few sites online are these days, there are some great plugins available. The excellent Yoast SEO plugin, WP SEO structured data schema is another, and there's probably others as well. But these are sort of codeless solutions that let you enter structured data directly at a page level. Google Structured Data Highlighter tool is something available within Google Search Console, so that's a pretty useful tool as well, which is just a real sort of UI based sort of drag, highlight the section of code, enter it in. Doesn't require any code knowledge. That's another way to get structured data into your page. So there's a few options there. This came up in the last section on local SEO, so I sort of can't stress it enough, but again, this is such a basic point that a lot of businesses miss. Just ensuring your name, address, and phone number are up to date, added to any high quality relevant directory sites that rank for your search terms. Can't stress enough quality over quantity. This older technique of listing your business on like 100 poor quality unknown directory sites, almost like spamming it. That's not a good way to tackle it anymore. Google's said on numerous occasions that it's quality over quantity. And ideally, when we say quality, what we mean is, it ranks highly. And how do you tell that? Well, search for your business, see what comes up. I mean, it's probably, your Yelp and your sort of review type sites come up, and it might be local directory type sites. But if it's on the first 1 or 2 pages of Google, it's already sort of got that tick, and it's reasonable quality. You want it to be relevant, so I mean start in that field as well. Think about things that are relevant to your industry or business, local relevant to your area. Start there. So the more relevant, the more specific and high quality, the better. Number 4, get creative. Think outside the box a little bit. Check the search results for clues and other creative avenues that might appear for your search terms. I mean, does your business have any relevant answers on industry type sites or forums, websites like Quora. Can you post some things on there to sort of really cement your place as an industry specialist and a thought leader? Does your business, if you're a larger business, do you have any press or media opportunities? Do you have any online articles? There's a great website you may have heard of called Haro, which stands for Help a Reporter Out, and you can register for free on that website to be either a source or a reporter. So it's just thinking about ways outside that you can get listed and get visible from other areas. Local type results as well. Yeah. So, which leads me to my next point. Look to the community. So, an extension of the previous point in some ways, but again, quality, relevant, important, but being active on industry group sites, online communities, anything that your business does in particular in terms of charity, or related businesses, things like that. Some of your suppliers, wholesalers, those sort of things. If there's opportunities there to, I guess, really leverage that and sort of try and get some links from those sites back into yours. I mean, that all helps. That all benefits. And massive part of this as well. Social. I mean, again, just on a basic level, completing and updating business page, those pages as appropriate. I mean, if you've got a Facebook page, you've got LinkedIn, do it properly or don't do it at all. Make sure the information is up to date. Ideally, be active on there, but if you can't do that, you don't have the time, just make sure the stuff is up to date and the descriptions are filled out and things like that. I mean, that's even just a good starting point in some cases. Number 6, buy it with AdWords. So yes, I hear you say this is an SEO presentation, but we're talking share of SERP at the moment. As I said, it's not just organic. There's a lot of other things on the page too. Paid ads are a big one, especially on mobile these days. I mentioned earlier, you have to scroll down on mobile to even see the organic listings at the moment. In some cases, it's almost crazy not to bid on branded terms. I mean, it seems silly that you even need to, but if your competitors are bidding on them and you're not appearing there when people search for your business name, then it's something you might want to consider. When you do have the ads, take advantage of ad extensions. There's a whole heap of them there. There's call extensions, there's location extensions, site links. Just a whole bunch of things that you can do, and you can see this example here from Digital Marketing Institute. They're using site link extensions there to link to specific pages on their website, and there's a phone number in there as well. I mean, and they've got product type callouts there as well, degree programs, digital marketing, social media marketing. So they're all ad extensions that you can add in there. I mean, that just makes your listing look even bigger and more prominent in the search results. Number 7, match your content to user intent. This is a bit of a general one, but it comes to the idea that when you're writing copy or you're writing pages on your site, I mean, you're not just writing for single keywords or broad topics. Try and provide an answer in a way, which, I mean, I'll go to in a bit more later, but try and think about what type of what the user is expecting to see when they get to that page, and trying to provide content matched on that. So, I mean, the examples here, great article from Link Assistant, which is in the notes. But some of the examples here. So, I mean, where to buy. The intent around researching specialist vinyl stores. So, keywords like where to buy rare records, buying jazz vinyl, things like that. The intent of the user would be is to research specialist vinyl stores. I mean, there's things like jazz and rare, which are kind of specialist terms. The next one, sort of buying vinyl cheap, best prices on secondhand vinyl, vinyl on sale. What's the common theme here is really about cheap vinyl or discount vinyl, budget, low cost vinyl, things like that. So, having content to match that is really important, and so on and so forth. But it's just thinking a bit beyond just presenting, generic content on the page. It's thinking about what type of keywords and what type of theme you have on the page. So it's more important to think about that really than just single keywords in isolation. This is what I almost went into in the last point, but number 8 is give the best answer. So really striving to be the best answer to a question. The solution to the problem that the user might be looking for, providing really high quality content, really comprehensive content, and a response that truly deserves to rank on page 1 organically, not one that's been manipulated or spammed to try and do so. And what the result of that is, if you do it well, is that you may earn a spot in the answers box at the top of the page. I mean, the example here is unfortunately not us in this case, but how do I make my website more visible? You can see the answer box there, which is linked to that article below. That has really taken up that whole sort of top of the screen there with that answer. So I mean, that's that's a really good bonus result of trying to sort of write copy and provide even write blog articles or add pages to your site around that. Number 9, thinking beyond text on a page. Yes, there is more to a website than just text. Content is much more than just text on a web page. For some time now, since universal search, Google has indexed a hell of a lot more than just content. So other stuff comes up on SERP, such as videos, images, news articles, maps, books, products, Twitter feeds, all sorts of stuff. So while we're talking about creating great content for a page, I mean, can you take it to the next step? I mean, you've got that great answer. Could you take it a step further, and could you even expand it to things like a how-to video, an infographic, a PDF, things like that. Just expanding that and really, I guess, focusing. If you've got good content to start, thinking how you can take it to the next step and make it more than that. And this is a very quick version of explanation of universal search. So I mean, the old Google was, there was a whole series of different areas, and I guess the key thing with universal search is that now all of that appears on one search page. You get mixed in results with news, maps, books, videos from YouTube, all sorts of things can appear. So just thought it's a really good explanation. Number 10 is hijack the knowledge graph. So this is a bit of an extension of the answer one, but it's there are a few different ways you can possibly do that. It's not a guaranteed type thing, but I mean, you can do things like building a glossary page. If you sort of do have that credibility within your industry as being Google sees your site as an industry thought leader, you can appear in that sort of number 1 result as like a definition knowledge type answer. So I mean, that's a good one too. And last but not least, and this one is more of a warning than anything, but wear a white hat. Don't be that guy. There was an early part of this webinar where we talked about black hat versus white hat. Essentially, black hat is, I guess, dodgy, spammy techniques that are either against Google's guidelines, or if they're like in a gray area, I mean, there's a chance that they might end up in Google's blacklist at some point. I mean, likely, if you think you've come up with some way to try and trick or game the search engines, chances are they've already thought of it. I mean, they're pretty smart bunch of guys at Google, and guys and girls, and it's even if you sort of your sort of spammy tactic is working right now, or your agency you're working with is using something that's in that sort of area, chances are it's probably one Google update away from getting a slap down. seen some really bad examples of that where websites getting blacklisted, removed from Google altogether, or even just on a basic level just kind of dropping all your rankings. So do it properly. Focus on what you need to do to get there. What you need to do to get there organically and the right way. Yes, it is hard work. It's that way for a reason. Otherwise, everyone will be doing it. Again, everyone's climbing to the top of that same mountain, right? So it is worth it, but try and sort of keep that sort of best practice and keep that sort of keep that intent there. It'll pay off for you in the long run.